There were many fond memories here, and I remember some of the early powwows that took place. Keep in mind they used to have those powwows years and years ago, until the Indian agent decided at that point in time that we can't exercise our traditional and cultural activities. So in that case, they had to relate back to, and keep in mind too that that their job was to try and make us farmers, and bring us back to their way of life, not our way of life, but their way of life.
5 was when I first started school here in grade 1, because my birthday's November. So my earliest memories of the powwow would be around that time. I remember powwows used to be always on Labor Day, on September 1st. And the next day back was always the first day of school, and the school kids would clean up the powwow grounds. So I remember looking forward to being one of the cleanup crew when I was a kid, so I must have been 4-ish, and looking forward to the next year when I'd be going and cleaning up the powwow grounds. But I think they only did that maybe a couple of years after I started school, because maybe the village just thought we shouldn't be having the kids cleaning up the powwow grounds.
I remember the first time I ever remember a powwow as a small child, and it was nighttime. And I remember going down to Weetongue Marina on the far end of this road here, and that's where they were holding the powwow, was down there. And then my next memories of the powwow were a big drumming and pipe band out of Outboard Marina, I believe it was. And they would lead the parade in, pipe and drum, from, again, down at the marina, and they'd come up to the four corners and parade into where the ball diamond is now. And there was a stage there that was built. It seemed to me they left the stage building every year till the morning of the powwow. And there'd be like 10 men around, all carrying and nailing boards, and before parade time they'd have a powwow stand there for people to dance on, and MC and the councillors to sit on. Council well represented at early powwow.
My earliest memories are when the powwow was down there. It started where old the Weetongue dock used to be, way down there. And by the way that dock came from Gannon's Bridge, they gave it the curved light part of it, and so that's what that, I think it's still there. But anyway, that's my earliest memories. And there was these great big Nishnawbeg that came from Brantford, and they danced into the night, and they were so big, and I was looking at the pictures this morning, and that was 1955, so I must have been only like 8 years old. But you know, that's my earliest memory. And they had a parade, and that kind of, it was a big do. But I just remember the nighttime mostly, because there was like a fire, and it was so, hearing those drums and that was good.
Well, it's the first introduction to that heartbeat from that drum, and then that's what geared me towards the fire. It felt like it's going through you, and even when it stops, you can still hear it, feel it.
Years that I really started engaging and remembering were more so in the years that I was getting my culture back, and my identity back, and where I pursued that in my undergrad and during like high school and university, where I found myself more connected to the community. My favorite part about the powwow is, our powwow's in September, and it's like a new beginning because of everybody going back to school, and my professional background is in education, so that's where I tie the school and education really as togetherness, and the powwow is that new beginning.
I remember the powwow being at the Ball Diamond, up in the main part of the res, and we always had a big parade right down, coming down from towards Auntie Miguel's that way. I don't know what the name of that street is. I don't know. But anyways, it would come to the main part of the res and then onto the ball field. And the one thing I remember is that we had so many contests. We had like husband and wife contests where the husband would have to start the fire and the wife would have to cook something, or there'd be husband calling contests and baby contests, all kinds of things like that. And there was never any money involved, and it was such a good time. And I remember one of our elders, Bernice McHugh, her family house was just next to the ball field, and she used to make donuts. And I think that was the first time I ever tasted a donut, was when Bernice made them. And boy, there'd be a lineup a mile long just to get her donuts.
My earliest memory of the powwow was everybody used to have a feast there, and everybody used to help each other out, and everybody used to make their own regalia. And everybody came in as a family unity. Everybody put out their differences aside, and everybody gathered around.
Well, I remember it was the highlight of the summer. Both of them. It would be, the powwow would be so much action going on up at the Ball Diamond, around the main, right by the church there. And it was always packed the way it is now.
And then across the road at the Ball Diamond, before they made it a Ball Diamond, they used to have the only one that really comes to my mind, the biggest ones, when they used to have that Ferris wheel, pony rides, pig roasts, eh?
Yeah.
And then they'd have the raised stage, and the most memorable dance I remember is when what's his name? They used to do the eagle dance. What's his name? No, it wasn't Pete. No, who was it, Mark? Somebody. Morris, that's right. Morris Taylor would do the eagle dance. That's the one. So he had full on wings, and his full on leather regalia and a headdress. And yeah, it was that's the one I remember the most. I would have been a young girl then, like 8 or 9, so seeing that. So that was my favorite dance that I remember the most. And then of course I always liked the Miss Curve Lake contest. That was always groovy.
I remember once they brought in horses, and some of the older natives got on it. My grandfather, he would have been in his 70s, Alan Taylor, and he got on the horse, and that was a big thrill for me. Yeah.
My earliest memories of the powwow would probably be when I was about 14, 15. I remember going down to the powwow grounds, and I met up with a whole new different side of the family. They helped me realize who I was. They helped me realize that I was doing stuff wrong. So it was around that time when I noticed a whole bunch of stuff going on. It was the first time I ever really paid attention to a powwow rather than going down there just looking at crafts and going home.
I think my earliest memories, I probably was only about maybe 3, 4. I remember going up the road with my dad, and I think I remember the horses, the parade they used to have. I think there were maybe 5 or 6 horses, and then the rest of the dancing and other people coming in up the main road to the top of the where the ball diamonds are right now. I'd go to the powwows, and I wouldn't have any regalia, and I just started dancing, and maybe about 10 years ago, maybe longer, I got more involved with it, like on the volunteering, just walk around, clean up, whatever it was, and then I'd just start dancing and get more involved with it, and I liked it and really enjoyed the feeling that I got inside my body, and I started from there.
I think probably the one that stands out the most is me and my gran, with me like all decked out in my regalia. I think it was traditional, and I'm like sitting on my gran's lap and we're just eating a bunch of food.
Kind of like a fair event, like kind of like a midway, a small midway at one point we had. And these are just kind of things that I remember over the course of a few years when I was younger. But we had it on Labor Day weekend. The whole cultural thing wasn't a big part of it, as I remember. Probably like one of the highlights actually was the annual corn cob fight that we have because of all the corn cobs laying around. So that's how we'd kind of end the day's festivities, was everybody would have a corn cob fight once everybody left. So we'd be going to school the next day, all welts and bruises and from these corn cob fights that we'd have. So that was something that we always kind of looked forward to and had a good time doing.
A wonderful celebrations in those regattas. A lot of good competition from various places. Great canoeists from Stony Lake, Alderville, Hiawatha, surrounding area that would come in and be part of that regatta. So after a while, things changed as far as the powwow goes. You know, all in those days and during the performances on the stage, it was all done with the hand drum. And you know, there's a big difference when you're drumming with a hand drum and you're dancing on the stage. You hear that in the boards, as you dance around them, you hear the boards bouncing, you know, as you dance. Whereas your normal powwow now, you don't hear that sound that goes on.
Around that time, Johnny Jacobs, my uncle Johnny Jacobs, and Aunt Gladys Taylor, they took a couple of us kids who had regalia, and we were trying to figure out how to dance, and it really was a resurgence of, you know, waking up the culture and everything, because a lot of people didn't know how to dance like we used to. And I even have I was looking for the book and I can't find it, but we used to have this book back then that showed some dances, and I remember looking at the dance when I was a kid.
One of my first stories to me about the powwow was when it first came here, and Elsie Knott, I believe, was chief at the time. She may not have been, I'm not sure, but she organized the first powwow. That is what I was told. And they had no feathers. So this woman from Lakefield, who was assisting in the organization of the powwow, got all these turkey feathers and brought them to Curve Lake. And you can see in photos and people's memories these turkey feather headdresses that were just like bonnets. Some of them trailed to the ground, 2 or 3 maybe would trail to the ground.
Gladys drumming, and it like there was always Morris and Keith. What I remember, always did this eagle dance, and it was entertaining. Like, I mean, it was entertaining, But the drumming that Gladys, that I remember, it wasn't like the traditional drumming that we know now. She was doing it on the hand drum, and it was more kind of more of what you'd see on TV. But it was just, when I watched it, knowing what I knew at the time I watched it, it was just like that was assimilation doing its work. But listening to it, you could hear the spirit in those songs, regardless of what you might say she was playing the wrong beat, or it might not be the correct vocables or whatever, or even the language, but you could hear that spirit of what she was saying. Like, it was powerful, and even though the guys may not have been doing traditional dancing as we know it today, you could see and feel the power of what they were doing. Even though it was kind of more entertainment for what they were projecting, but everybody bought it. The tourists, we bought it because of their energy and the spirit that they felt when they heard that drum and they heard the singing.
Oh yeah. I remember all, the regattas. That was a big thing with us, because all my family would raise, and that was a big thing. It was down there, and then there was another one up here at school grounds there, where the band office now. They had that big 3-day powwow and regatta and all together, and it was on that slope. That's where people sat. The slope behind the band office. That's where the people sat. There was a stage at the bottom there, and then the canoes came around the bend from where my dad and them had their house. There's a bend there, and the canoes came from there. And
So I've been to quite a few powwows around the Anishinaabeg Nation. My hope is one day that I can go to the big powwow in Albuquerque, but I think our community and the volunteers do a great job of the powwow here, and the place where it is, surrounded by water down there, and how peaceful it is. I think that we do a really good job of making those that aren't even from our community feel welcome and at home.
Well, for me, it was dancing with my grandmother. She got me into dancing, and she'd take me to the powwows with her. We'd bum rides to whatever powwow, because we weren't given any money, and we'd be billeted out to someone's house, and just spending time with my granny and learning how to be kind to people and learning those dances. That was really precious to me. And when she quit dancing, she gave me her dance boots, and they're now at the Cultural Center.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
yeah, those are. Yeah, she was gifted those by an elder from Alberta. Made those for her. Yeah.
Powwow has really changed now because it's competition, and we're the only ones that are with our own traditional culture and that. And to me, competition is not the way for a powwow. Our current powwow right now is really big, and a lot of people really across Canada and around the world. We get a lot of visitors from Australia and overseas, and we have a lot of participation with members coming in. And it's really respectful. Some people do get obnoxious with us, but then we were taught in our young life to be mindful.
I feel like it's a little geared towards revenue more than tradition. Not in a secret way, but in an obvious way, where we got more vendors than we got more vendors than traditional stuff.
Oh, one story that I remember when they had the pig roast, and they have a huge. No, actually, it was pig or cow. It was gigantic, and when they were trying to get the meat off it, the whole carcass fell right in the fire. Yes, my dad always told me that story. Yeah, so they had to wipe all the ashes off and everything to serve it to the people. But no, heck, it was good.
I got into drumming when I moved to Kingston. There was a lady there that was an addictions counselor, and I needed to get away from Curve Lake for a little while because I'm a wanderer. And she had a drum group at the one friendship center that they had running there. And I would go down there, I would listen to the songs, listen to the elders coming in. I would see the dancers coming in, and then I got asked to drum. So that was my very first time. That was about 20-ish.
Being a head dancer, I think, to me, is having the respect of the powwow, having the honor of being a traditional dancer. It makes me reflect on things in my past, in the future that I can hope for that will be the best for all of us, and just follow the grandfather teachings.
To be a junior head dancer, it's a really interesting thing because I don't know, I was raised that there's like a lot of different values and teachings that you need to do, and also just your role in general. Like you should be at sunrise. You don't leave until everyone else has leave or you've been dismissed. It's an interesting way to meet a lot of different people. You meet all the different veterans, the flag carriers, everyone kind of, because you're all introducing yourselves, because you're all standing in line waiting to go through the circle.
And the crowd that we had, but we never had no paved road, all dirty roads, gravel roads back then also, you know. And we ran into the same problem, was parking. You know, you still had some parking along the side of the road and all that, but you know, that's what it's all about. You know, come as you are. You know, park where you can. You know, that type of thing. You don't have to have everything cosmetic. You know, in order, that's not tradition.
Yeah, definitely. You don't appreciate it till now, the struggle to try to figure out those dances and what that meant to try to retrieve it. But looking back, there's a big appreciation for that journey into how to retrieve our culture again. So, and the fact that there was even a buckskin project says something like, I always present on how I've witnessed what happened when we got the right to vote in 1960, the changes that happened when politicians took notice that there were some sitting votes here. So, you know, the gravel roads turned to paved roads, and we got bathrooms in our houses and that kind of thing. So this buckskin project was kind of a piece of that too. Like, you know, hunting wasn't even as prevalent as it is even today, right? Because if you left the reserve for any length of time for 2 weeks or more, you lost your status and so on. So hunting wasn't as big as it is now, and so they would bring that. That's why there was this kind of buckskin project where they brought in hide so that we could make our regalia.
And I think everything that came in as money went back to the powwow for the next year. It was always folded back in, but the powwow never really was a profit oriented activity because it was just community members. And I remember at one powwow I was running by one of the vendors, and it was run by chief and council. And as I was going by, I heard them say, "We're running out of soup." And someone yelled out, "Put more water in."
Yeah, so I think that's kind of my memories of the earlier powwows. I guess the earlier ones, in general, I guess we're less, we're not as traditional as we know them today. It was kind of in the late 80s, mid to late 80s into the 90s, where people started getting traditional teachings, I think, from mostly Meday.
I think it's still a good thing. Like, it's different, but then we had, in the old days, we had everybody there too. Like, it wasn't just for Anishinaabe. Everybody came, and that's the way it is now too. But it's still like a time for everybody to get together, to celebrate, and, you know, to have a chance to display their crafts and their food and that kind of thing. Yeah.
I would like to see more medicine, and more medicine not for sale, because that's one of the biggest things that I see. People selling medicine, which is kind of odd. Well, I understand the revenue part of it, but yeah, it should be more of a community thing, because it is becoming less and less of a community thing, which isn't the purpose of it, right? So I think it should be geared towards community more than tourists and resident revenue, because that's what it's about, and like exchanging traditions and teachings and whatnot.
We strive to make sure no drug or alcohol allowed at the powwow. We make sure to have a sunrise ceremony. We make sure to have that sacred fire.
And the thing I love the most about our powwow is the sunrise ceremonies. I love them. I love them. If I was a young man, I would be a fire keeper, just so I could sit by that fire all the time, and just to sit with different people and learn their knowledge, share their knowledge. I love that. I love the ceremony part.
We do have some grandfather teachings, and we do abide by them, and we're taught at an early age to respect each other and respect our neighbors, and everybody's equal.
But Alex Kokopshi and the other elder, Angus Pontiac, used to be the elders, eh? And at that time, I don't know what they had, you know, special spiritual abilities, but eagles would always come to the arbor where we were singing up there, and not just one either. We're talking the whole family. So it'd be at least 4 or 5 eagles would come to the arbor. So at one point, one eagle came right down over the arbor, okay? And Alex Kokopshi, he put up his tobacco like that, and the eagle hovered right over the arbor. So that was the most amazing thing I witnessed at the one when we had it up the road there.
Well, I used to come to the Powwows and see the lineups for food, and I always thought that would be a great thing to get in on. And then actually Dorothy was pregnant with our oldest boy, Eric, and that was our first year we had a food booth, so that would be what, 22 years ago?
Curve Lake Powwow was our first one that we did.
Yeah.
And what were our food menu at that time?
Oh, it was pizza.
My favorite moment was when an elder came to me and asked me to help with a naming ceremony. I had chills up and down my spine, and I was honored because at that point I had realized that I had finally flipped my life around. I think it's great. The arbor is looking amazing, and they've expanded the circle at least 5-6 feet, so the more the merrier.
I like it where it is down at the park down there. It's a pretty big area. It's a lot of good turnout for people for us to be there, and it goes good. It goes good. I have a good turnout. Lots of people every year. It's supposed to be one of the biggest powwows of the year. Beautiful time of the year. The leaves are out, and it's good. It's the powwow committee and the people that run it do a really super good job on it. Yeah, very well organized, and they start a few days early and getting all ready, and it's good. I know it's a hard challenge because I was on the committee at one time, and it's hard. It's hard, very hard.
Probably when my younger cousin Ella started dancing. There's a picture of me and Ella dancing in our traditional regalias, and my cousin Mal is fancy style, and she was dancing behind us, and there's a picture of all three of us kind of like almost in a line. But Ella wore my regalias for probably up until like a couple years ago, and then she switched to fancy, but she still kind of follows the designs on my regalias. But my most memorable one was probably when we'd all be dancing together.
Well, the only thing you can tell anyone from this day forward, be yourself, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, be kind, be respectful, enjoy life, because it's too short.
Keep learning. Hopefully you're speaking Nishnaba.
I would like to extend a message of gratitude and thanks to them for being able to look at this video and take something from it. I'd like to ask them if I could hear the answer. Why do you go to a powwow? And see what the answer is then.
Try and powwow every day. Don't just think that one day a year is enough to be niche. Be as niche as you can every day, which includes being honest, which sometimes means going out of your comfort zone and talking when you think it's safer to be quiet.
I'd like them to remember where they came from, where all our ancestors came from, because their blood still runs in our veins. When you think about that and all the things that they've been through to make us what we are, really, to remember that, and try and don't ever be ashamed to be Anishinaabe.
Yeah, don't come for the gifts, come for the teachings, right? Learn what that smudge is, learn what that fire is. And instead of being shy towards it, ask about it. Because it'll be something that you won't forget.
I hope that that powwow is empowering to them for identity when they come home. It's a time that we can share with our friends, our classmates, whoever we're involving in our life at that time. It's a time of celebration and rejoicing, and I really hope that they feel that.
Keep up with the ceremony. That's the important part, is that ceremony, because it breathes life into your spirit, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Just have your First Nation, your well-being in your heart, and treat everybody equal. And that's the main goal in life. Be heartful and mindful of your actions and that. And in regards to being Native, never lose that touch of your Native heritage. That's always in your heart.
Just be kind to people, be generous, be thoughtful. And it doesn't matter who they are, everybody is a person. So just treat everybody equal. important. So.
Good, yeah. I just wanted to, please continue the tradition of our powwows, because it's the heartbeat of, we bring the heartbeat of the nation together. It keeps, you know, you're in the future now, so to keep the powwow going means that our culture, our language, our traditions will maintain and keep strong now and forever. So it's so important to keep that going.
Just follow your grandfather's teachings. Have a lot of respect for others and yourself. Be kind, be good, honest, faithful. Enjoy your life, and I'm really glad to be a part of this and continue on to life.
Believing in yourself, and if people say something, then kind of just let them say something.
No rose was ever picked without a thorn on it. And that just means that people are going to see the negative side of you, or something that they don't generally like. But that doesn't mean that you can't be who you want to be, or what you want to be. You might have some kind of disability that somebody doesn't like, but you are beautiful no matter what or who you are. And when I say no rose was picked without a thorn on it, it means that the thorns may be the negative side or whatever somebody sees in you that they don't like. But the rose sees itself as beautiful regardless. So that's my message to you.
Keith not nishnikas, or Kishmo, Dipinchapa, or Kishmo, Dipinchapa. No one's going to give a none key, Sama, or Kishmo, no one.
So Bojorawanin, named Bogdan and Dishnikas, Curve Lake and Dojwa. I'm Shelley Not Fife otherwise, and I am raised from birth here in Curve Lake.
I've had a few identities over the years and names to go with it. My given name is Lorenzo Dao Witang, and the name that I grew up everyone knowing me by was Lollipop. And then as the population of the community grew and distances between families were created, I became known as Lorenzo. And just recently I was gifted the name of Chimatigamish, which means a great big oak tree.
Tigana Squandish Nikas, Nikikin Dinwema, Oshkikma, Donchba. My name is Susie. The otter is my clan, and I'm from Curve Lake.
Dan Hawk Dishnikas, Gignato Damushkikamang Dunjaba.
Gajuana Makdishnikas, Makwado Dem, Curve Lake Donjaba. My name's Chochinat. That's the name my parents gave me. My Nishnaba name means warm wind, and I'm from the Bear Clan.
Winner Bojo Anin, Mongkwan Dishnakas, Nikiganin Dodam, Shkigamanganin Donjaba, Michasagi Ganishna Clan Dao. Hello, my Nishnaba name translates to loon feather. My English name is Anne Taylor. I'm of the Otter clan. I'm from Curve Lake, and I'm an Mississauga Anishinaabe woman.
Yeah, I'm Arnold Taylor, councillor of Curve Lake First Nation. I became a councillor, must have been about 15 years ago. And I'm a residential school survivor and 60 scoop survivor.
My name is Mark Taylor, and this is my wife, Dorothy Taylor. We've been married for 21 years, and we live in Curve Lake.
Amigazo Makwa Anishinaabe Nijikaz, which is Fighting Bear Sunrisen Native. I've gained that name on the Powwow Trail from numerous elders over the years and over just my lifespan. My English name is David Osborne Taylor.
Hi, I'm Michael Everett Taylor from Curve Lake First Nations.
My name's Angeline Pine. I am going to be 20 in October, and I grew up in Curve Lake and Garden River.